Good evening, everybody. I'm going to get going very shortly, so thank you for your patience. Hi there. I'm getting a hi from James Sport. Hi there. I don't think we've seen you before, so welcome. All right, everybody, we'll get going. Now, if you're on our YouTube live stream, I can't see the live stream, so I can't see the chat. So I did put a link in there so you can come in and join us. So if you want to join us in the webinar, just go through the link. Other than that, you're more than welcome to watch, but I just can't see the chat. So welcome everyone to this evening's ACY Securities webinar, Forex Trading Live Market Analysis. Before we get into it, just read through the risk disclaimer. Any questions to the question and answer box? I've got the chat box open too. I'm struggling with my voice a little bit, so hopefully I don't get too croaky. So I'm not going to try and talk too loud. So if I'm a bit quiet, just turn your volume up. I'm sure you'll work it out. All right, if you don't know me, my name is Duncan Cooper. I'm the Senior Market Strategist here and Trading Mentor at ACY Securities. And I'm a full-time trader for the most part. And I've been trading the Forex market now for more than 15 years. And mentoring clients for more than 10. If you want to contact me, my email is on screen, duncan.cooper@acy.com. So anything about the webinars, just send me an email. You can connect with me at our website, acy.com, market news tab, at the YouTube channel, ACY Securities Australia. And if you want to connect with me personally through the week, then my Twitter and LinkedIn handles are up there. As well, if you want to connect with me in our Telegram channel, just contact Nathan Bray at acy.com. I'll put his details in the chat in a moment. As well, if you want to get access to my charts, layouts, indicators that I use in my analysis, then you can see them up here. Just contact Nathan, he will organize that for you. So I'll put his details in the chat right now. So just bear with me. All right, that's in the chat. All right, before we get into the charts, we'll just have a quick look at, here we go, what news is coming out today. So at 10 a.m., I'll just refresh this. And this doesn't look right. I might need to refresh this for myself. There we go, that's right. It's giving me the wrong time for my time zone. All right, so we've got at midnight today, moving into Wednesday, the CBC consumer confidence and then JOLTS job openings coming out for the US. So that's the thing to consider over the next 12 to 18 hours. And then you can review the calendar for tomorrow if you like, at your own leisure. And for the rest of the week, the big thing for the week is we've got the US job figures coming out on Friday. All right. So next event, just to be aware of, is the US CB consumer confidence and JOLTS job openings at midnight. All right, let's get into charts now. Of course, on Friday, we had quite a large collapse of the pairs to the US dollar after Fed Powell's speech. And not entirely sure whether or not that was just a reaction, because the market's seemingly starting to move back the other way. So things are a little bit uncertain. You know, the charts might be telling you that we're in a downtrend, but charts had a very large reaction to his speech and then seemingly moving back the other way. So when you look at the charts, it's not always as easy just to determine what's going on, but this is the dollar index. Let's have a quick look. Obviously nearly at the end of the month, and we're testing these resistance levels that we've tested before over here, 108.09 and 109.24. Obviously we're having a month up. We have put in a new high, but we're rejecting 109.24. And this week we put in that new high. You can see we're pulling back at the moment, and on the day chart we had a bit of a gap up on Monday. And whilst we haven't changed trend yet, we could be dealing with a bit of a double top, triple top affair up here. We'll just have to wait and see how price wants to do. But if it breaks this support low, then that's looking very suggestive of a reversal. And if this MACD crosses down, there's MACD divergence there as well. So euro dollar is looking a bit more positive. This is looking negative a little bit, and the euro dollar is putting in a higher bottom. So we may be dealing with a bit of a US dollar reversal at the moment. Not necessarily long term, we'll just have to wait and see, but short term, maybe we're getting some sort of reversal. And let's just get into S&P 500, have a look at that. That had a big day down Friday with the speech, and it has moved below 41.38 and 41.04 support, which is weekly support from the weekly chart, these two low areas here. Now the weekly trend is up, but the day trend is down. So are we moving back down long term, or we're going to move back above these old support levels? If we move back, if that reaction there was just a gut reaction to the speech, and we move back above these support levels that were, then we could well be coming up challenges high. So over the next few days, we'll see how the market claws back Friday's collapse. All right. If the bears are going to be in control of this instrument or index, we really need to see this old support on the S&P 500 to be resistance, okay? But if we see the US dollar reversal back down, then this will probably move back up. So look at both things together. I'm not convinced that the US dollar is going to continue moving up in the short term. So seeing a little bit of US dollar weakness, only ever so slight positivity from Monday to Tuesday at the moment, from Friday on the index. All right, let's just start with the euro dollar. I did a video analysis of this pair today. And if you start on the day chart, what shouts out to me is that the last 4 days, we've been closing above this weekly support level. Now, overall, the weekly trend is down. It's lower tops and bottoms. Okay, but we're at this parity level. And this weekly support level here, 99.52, and then the lower level from way back, 99.04, which is weekly support, holding the market. Traded down to 9,900 last week, but we're putting in a high bottom here. We're having a day up. So in my mind, even though we rejected resistance 10096, just short of that last Friday, because last Friday we were very positive until the speech came out. It's not going to surprise me one bit to see us move above last week's high. Have a gut reaction from the speech, and we're going to be moving up. So first headache, if we are going to be moving up, we've broken above the high like yesterday, putting in a higher bottom. If you're thinking about getting long, whatever your strategy is, 10096 and 10122 daily resistance. If we're going to continue up, we need to break above there. What we might find is we might just come up to here, yes, break last week's high, but then just fail in that area. So the strength you want to be in, if you're thinking this is going to move up to back up to monthly resistance at 103.40 or beyond, You want to get in ahead of daily chart resistance so that if it fails there, at least you're break even. Okay, so at the moment, the best opportunity has been at the central pivot point today. That's often where support comes in if we're going to move up in a day. So at the moment, it's just contending with yesterday's high. So for me, down here would have been great. A central pivot point to look for a long. Now that we are kind of wanting to move back above parity, I would say over the next 24 hours, look at the parity level, the 1.0000 level for support. You know, if that can't offer support, we're moving back down. But as to move up, we should be starting to see support coming in at that level, okay? So we're just starting to see a bit of an uptrend form on the daily. And just going to click through the other pairs, see if anything's going on before I just run through them all. All right, let's just go through the New Zealand dollar. Now on the weekly chart, we're putting in a lower top. Can we move down to put in a further lower bottom? As I'm not so sure that the US dollar strength is going to prevail in the short term. Slightly saying on the euro dollar current uptrend could just be a bounce up from Friday's sell-off. Well, it could be, but it is putting in a higher bottom. It keeps closing above 99.52. So I just think if we were going to continually sell off from Friday, we wouldn't put in a higher bottom. So that's just my thought. But yeah, we could just be moving up just to claw a little bit back of Friday before moving further down. And you're talking about 79% fib move. Monitor the 79% fib move down. In fact, I'm just going to go back to the euro dollar because something I looked at earlier in the day when we've been discussing about the 79% levels is we were very bullish on Friday up here until the speech came out. And even when the speech came out, we're still very bullish for a while until the market decided afterwards that we wanted to move down. So what I noticed on the pullback, because we didn't come down and take out this low here, is that we have pulled back to a 79% area here and started to move up. Now, you know, that 79% area could operate for us to see a move beyond these daily resistance levels up to the 127 extension. Now, I know you're saying the opposite way, but I noticed that today that we've gotten some form of support down there. Now, you're talking about that way. So yeah, you could be watching this level. I'd be more watching the resistance up here personally, because there's nothing really to the left here that's kind of resistance too much. So it's a little bit naked around there, but you could stop at the 79. You could watch that level. I just think it's going the other way. I think it's going north full. The market will be right. We'll see what it looks like on Thursday when I do another update. But it, you know, that 79% might work. You can monitor it. All right. I was going through the New Zealand dollar because we're just moving up now. On New Zealand dollar, we're in a downtrend on the weekly. Lower top, lower bottom, lower top. Not putting in a further bottom, and I am noticing that MACD's crossed up. So with my overall general view that I think a little bit of US dollar weakness might be coming in, we may actually put in a higher bottom here on the weekly. But in the short term, this pair is going to have to prove that that's what it wants to do. So what I'm noticing at the moment is we're moving back up to broken support, 61.91, and there's a monthly area of support which is at 62.04. And if we just move it down to the 4-hour chart so I can put a fib in from the whole range, we're at the 62% level of retracement. and we're testing the 61.91 level, so almost a 62 level. So this 61.91 area up to the 62.04 area, which is potentially, now that we move below those levels, resistance, this is a critical area for the week. Does this act as resistance to move down, or do we move above this area to act as support? I can see on the MACD we've got positive divergence, so I'm not too sure that there's not a reversal, underway. I know that the trend's down, but things to me just look a little bit more on the reversal side. But at the moment, as it stands today, we're at holding just underneath 61.91 resistance. So you could monitor that area. Look for an entry on the 50-minute chart. Does it show you an entry that you like? Trend line break, swing point break. You could trade the level if you can, price can move back up to that level, but that's going to be the critical area, I'm sure, for the week. Where's positive divergence on the MACD, on the 4-hour chart? Price is moving down to a lower low area. It's moving to a higher area here. That's positive divergence. All right, slab. So there's just a couple of things. Well, there's that obviously MACD divergence there, maybe highlighting a bottom coming in. The thing you need to watch if you want to trade this pair, and it all depends what side of the market you think this pair is moving to. Is it continuing down or up? Structurally, at the moment on the day chart, it's still down. So that being said, I might be getting ahead of myself. It's at the 62% retracement of that last drop. It's at resistance. So at the moment, you're looking for resistance to be resistance for a move down. All right, but that area is the focal area to watch for the week. Does it hold as resistance to move down in line with that day chart, or is that 4-hour divergence going to start to see price move above that level? If price does move above this level, it's doing what it should be doing at the moment, holding as resistance, but if it moves above, watch 62.04 to become support, okay, over the next couple of trading days. All right, so you can make your own decision about, do you think we should be going long at some point this week, or should we be trading down today from that level? All right, I might get into the pound because this is a key area as well. To the daily and the weekly. Weekly's in a downtrend. We've actually traded down on my monthly chart. There's a low here at 1645 that we traded down to, or very, very close to last week. Sorry, this week. I went down to 1648 yesterday. 1645, I got a low there. So obvious downtrend on the monthly, but the thing to note, and this is why I'm getting a bit more bullish or anticipating a bullish move. Some of these pairs are getting down at very low levels, especially the pound dollar here at historic lows. I said this last week. When we came up to quite a historical area of resistance last week, not last week, sorry, I just talked about last week. When we came up to this area, here's a historical support, became resistance. When we came up to it, we had a significant reversal. Now we're coming down to historical support areas. So don't be surprised to see this turn around, because we're at historical support. I know the trends are down, but when price got up to this resistance, the trend was up. On this weekly, daily move up here, the trend is up. All right, but trends finish at support or resistance, especially historical levels. So trends are still down. Weekly trend's still down there, lower tops, lower bottoms. And the day trend is lower tops and lower bottoms. But until we had Powell's speech on Friday, this pair was quite happy to hold above this weekly support at 117.60. It was just starting to give the look of maybe it wanted to start to move up. Now, it did hold at daily resistance when the speech came out and we moved down. And currently we are holding below 17.60. So at the moment, going with the trends, key area to watch would be 117.60. Does that hold as resistance for a move down? Now, like the New Zealand dollar, you've got positive divergence on the 4-hour. So the critical area to watch would be 1760. I've been a bit short today. We have moved above yesterday's high, 1760. Does that hold as resistance for an opportunity to trade down? If we move above that level, we get a good day up today. Tomorrow, watch 1760 to be support. Okay, so that's the level to watch. If you're still very strongly much to the US dollar strength, you're watching 117.60 for resistance to trade down. If you're more on the idea that we might be getting a reversal, then look for a move above that level and then to become support. And of course, I'm talking about a possible reversal. So what I'm going to be doing is when I'm looking at these pairs, I'm obviously going to be watching the euro dollar. What's that doing? And I'm going to be watching the dollar index. What's that doing? Is the euro dollar moving up? Is the dollar index moving down? All right. So if we start to see a lot of strength in the euro dollar, this is going to move above 1760 for sure. And then look at that to become support. If the euro dollar today, let's go back to it. If it's still going up at the moment, but if it was to, you know, there is the possibility of this being like a left shoulder, head, right shoulder in this area, potentially. I didn't really talk about that because of the higher bottom here, but we could fail in this area. So if we at some point today decided we want to fail in this area and heavily sell off, then we're probably, you know, looking more to the downside. But at the moment, it's looking like it wants to move up. So if that moves up strongly, I'm sure this pound may well have a go at moving above 1760. So that's the key level to watch. Is it going to hold as resistance or we're going to move above it? Because last week we wanted to be above that and hold at that level for support. All right, I'm going to go to the left and move through the pairs. Now, Aussie Yen has been very strong. It's moving above weekly resistance at the moment. If you go to your, it's going to get rid of all my lines or the majority. So you can see the candles. That monthly chart there looks very strong. So we are heading into resistance at the moment. We could obviously falter at resistance, but we've actually pulled back to support during the month. And we're having an outside up month. So that just shouts to me that we're going to have a month up next month. We've only got today and tomorrow to go before the new month. Of course, we could stop at the top, but we are seeing a very strong month. And get my lines to come back in. Here we go. One too many things coming back on. All right, so what we're doing at the moment is we're moving above this weekly top here and this weekly top here, 75.73, 75.75. All right, and notably, if you've been astutely following my lesson on the weekly candle, I can get my other set of charts to pull up. Which I can't. Just bear with me a moment. All right, my other charts for whatever reason don't want to pull up, so I'll just work it out on these charts. Pretty sure that was last week's low up to the high, and we've had a 62% retracement inside last week's candle. So this is looking very bullish this week. All right, now how do we get in? Well, we've moved above 95.73.75. So if we continue up today, any pullback at the moment now should hold at 95.73 area. So if you go back to your daily chart, these tops that we're moving above, I've been predominantly using this top here, 95.73. Just excuse me a moment. All right, sorry about that. My card's getting the better of me. So the fact that we're moving above this weekly top now is if we're going to continue up to challenge this higher weekly resistance area at 96.87, we should hold on any pullback. So watch 95.73 to be support on any pullback. Okay, so that might happen tomorrow, could happen over the next couple of trading days. Pulling back to 95.73 is the level it needs to hold now to continue the move up. All right, now, depending where price moves up from today, like if we're at kind of 96.50, pulling back, 96 might then offer support, but any pullback really should hold at 95.73. If we start to move below 95.73, if we close below 95.73 today, then I would have to change my look at this pair. I would then be focusing on a reversal. All right, so whilst we're bullish today, we're holding above 95.73, looking at 95.73 to hold for a pullback to move through, but a good close below that level today, if we just, through New York, start to reverse, move back below, then tomorrow we're maybe looking for a reversal. But at the moment, we're not seeing that. So we'll just have to wait and see what the whole day brings. All right, onto the Aussie dollar. Now, today in the Telegram, I was looking at this area. We did pull back deeper. I was looking at this area to possibly hold, but ultimately, we came back above that area and you could have manufactured some kind of entry, I'm sure. But what seems to be happening on the day chart is even though we had a big drop Friday, this area of support here, 68.69 to 68.54, seemingly is offering support. Last week offered support. We obviously reversed there yesterday and we're moving up today. So I'm sure, wow, I can't be 100% sure, but in all probability, we might be moving up to test last week's high and have a week up. We need to move back above these monthly resistance levels. But as I've been talking about, my general bias, maybe to the upside now. Showed you this last week. There's a 62% area here that we're holding at. So we may well be moving up to challenge this lower top on the weekly chart to move through. All right, we'll have to wait and see if we can claw back Friday's drop. All right, I do know on this final low here at the moment, we had positive divergence down there. Price moving down, MACD's putting in a higher bottom. All right, let's go to the 4-hour chart. There's positive divergence on this pair too, okay, on the 4-hour chart. I don't know what the euro dollar was showing us because I didn't talk about that. Euro dollar is not showing positive divergence. All right, but several other pairs are to the US dollar. All right, so things to monitor. Of course, we've had the collapse on Friday. We could just be rallying back up before we move back down. Okay, so things all depending on what side of the market you want to play at the moment. I'm more on the US dollar weakness strategy at the moment. Pairs moving up. All right, but you might still be thinking, well, fundamentally and all those sort of things. This might just be a rally before we further go down. We are moving up from a slightly lower bottom. So drawing a fib for our chart here. You could look for the 79% level. There's monthly resistance at 69.67, 79% level at 69.73. There's also monthly resistance at 69.91 with overlapping 4-hour resistance there. So there's lots of things in the way for this to move up and beyond last week's high. Maybe we're just rallying up to the 79% level. So depending on whether you think the US dollar is going to weaken or remain its strength, at the moment I'm seeing two sides of the market. I'm looking for this to move up and challenge last week's high, but if you still, I might change my mind. Like if I see this get to the 79 and start to really sell off, then I probably won't be getting in at 79, but I'll be then looking to structure something to go to the short side. At the moment, I'm actually long down from 68, 78 level. So that's why I'm looking for this to move up and above the highs. But if I start to see this falter at the 79% level, I will probably be looking to go the opposite way. So that's the area to watch for a failure. The 79% level, 69, 67 monthly resistance. What does price do there? So we're a little bit short of that level at the moment. All right, Euro Yen. Day chart. And if we go to the monthly chart, I know I've got plenty of lines on here, but we're having a very positive month like the Aussie Yen. Anticipating another month up next month. Now, the weekly trend has turned up. We've actually moved above this minor lower top here, and we put in a minor higher bottom here. So weekly's now pointing up, and I was looking for a break last week. It's finally come, and the day chart was in consolidation, but it is now moving up. And the 4 hours just looking up at the moment. We're almost back up to the high of the week. And in our Telegram channel, I posted this level to act as support today, 138.39. I was looking at 138.39 down to the central pivot area to be support today. And ultimately came in there to move up. So obviously we're testing 139. At the moment, I'm looking for a possible move up to the weekly area of resistance up here, 139.99. Not for a change trend, but maybe you might fall to there for a bit of a pullback. Maybe a 1 or 2 day pullback before it continues up. But we might get see this period here where we were kind of consolidating before we had all these days up. Maybe we'll have just many, many days up. We've had quite a long period here of consolidation where I'm sure people have been buying. Of course, some people have been selling. But the sellers at the moment, after this long period of taking positions, the sellers are starting to feel like they're wrong. All right, so we could see quite a large move up to challenge 144.24 through the course of next month. All right. All right, so that's definitely an uptrend there. Looking for a pullback opportunity. If we move clearly above 139 today, look for 139. Which lines up with yesterday's top to be support. At the moment, you know, this was where you should have been looking for your trade today. Central pivot point, broken daily resistance becoming support. All right. So I posted that earlier in the day. I was giving it a couple of tests, but ultimately was the low of the day for a move up. All right, we covered the euro dollar. It's moving up. Central pivot point would have been a great place to look for an opportunity today. Can't go back in time. Let's say tomorrow, look maybe for the figure. Parity level. Pound yen. Not really trading this pair at the moment. It's very consolidatory. I think ultimately this is 3 weekly lows here. 3 weekly support lows in this area. Let me just color it in. I think ultimately support's come in here. Like on the other yen pairs that are starting to want to move up. So it's kind of in between the 62.79 of that fib. I think support's ultimately come in there and we're going to break north. We're going to need to break obviously above 162.97 resistance, but if we can get a clear break up, watch for 162.97 to become support and then offer you an opportunity to trade up to test these resistance levels further up. This high level here at 166.24. All right. Still consolidatory there at the moment. This could still stay in that range, but I think it's getting itself ready to move up. It's just finding a nice way of getting in. So I'd like to see it move above 162.97. Can that become broken resistance to become support for then a move up from that level. Okay. All right, pound dollar's coming up to test at 117.60. So let's just take a vote. Show of hands. Who thinks the pound dollar is going to hold at 117.60? Or are you with me? Cameron, you think it's going to hold? All right, he's putting his hand up. Anybody else? Just one person? All right. Pedro, you think it's going to hold too? Well, we'll wait. We'll wait and see. I mean, ultimately, when we're trading, at the moment, the trend is down. We broke below there on Friday, and we moved further down. We have tested a major level of support down here. That's why I'm a little bit more on the reversal side, but ultimately the trend is still down here. So I'm just cautious of selling things at the moment too far down on a move down into historical levels of support. Cameron, you're saying about the dollar CAD and the head and shoulders. Yeah, we'll get to that one. There's head and shoulders and a double top on that pair as well. So that's another pair that's showing US dollar weakness. So this could hold at 1760. I'm just seeing a few more things that might say we might pop back above that level, but I'm not trading this pair to the downside, but it doesn't stop you guys doing that if you like that level. I'm more looking for this level to break above. So if it does move down, I'll miss out. I'm just thinking we might be moving above that level through the week. So we will see what happens. I can change my mind if I start to see clear bearish price action. I won't be able to trade obviously at 1760, but I might, if I see something that really jumps out at me for a short, obviously I can short it later in the week. But I just feel US dollar strength's getting weaker. All right, New Zealand yen. I'm not going to say too much about this pair other than it's still in this consolidation phase. It is just starting to show a little bit of an upward move. This area of minor resistance that we've broken above at 85.16. Let me just draw that in, 85.16. This could become support during the week for a move up to challenge resistance. Has been a little bit support today. You can see it did go a bit below it, but it's back above it. So if we move a bit more up, you know, if we once more get a dip, you really want to see 85.16 hold for a move up. So that would be a level I could watch to see if price pulls back to during the week. But at the moment, very slow going on that pair. So I'm not really trading it at the moment, but I can watch that level through the week, see what sets up around that level. But you can see it's been very flat. So if it's very flat, just pick something else at the moment. All right, we'll cover the New Zealand dollar. It's still challenging that level. Dollar Canadian, let's have a look at this pair. I've already set up my fibs because this 130.76 level, I've discussed it many times, this weekly resistance level. I said, you know, watch for failure. And there's a possibility of a left shoulder area here, a right shoulder forming. You know, pretty much came up to that level, to the pip. That shoulder's at 130.78. That candle went up to 130.75. There's a possibility of a double top forming here where the right shoulder is forming. We've already had a day down. So having a day down on that double top's kind of confirming the double top. And somebody told me that, Annie, you said you're selling at 117. What pair are you talking about? All right, I'm just looking at my chat. Cameron, you're saying you talking about the dollar CAD dropping off a head and shoulders pattern on the daily. Yeah, so we're just covering that. Annie, you're saying you're selling at 117. What pair are you talking about? All right, pound dollar. So you're going to sell if it breaks 117. All right. Back to the pound dollar there. Okay. All right, I'm just making sure I covered all my chat notes. There we go. All right, so this dollar Canadian, I don't know whether, Cameron, did you get in this? But there's a definite left shoulder here. I discussed that last week. Head. Right shoulder. So if this is going to move down with it within that pattern and a double top there, this is US dollar weakness. Is that going to translate into all the other pairs versus the US dollar? So I'm seeing quite a few things that are showing that US dollar might be getting weaker. All right. That's why I'm a bit cautious about selling that pound. So we've already broken the low yesterday. So that's confirming this minor double top. Price projection for the double top comes down pretty much to the low area of that head and shoulder pattern. Okay. Down at support there at 127.27. So on the 4 hour, all right, we're in an obvious downtrend here on the 4 hour. Can't see a good enough way of getting in on the 4 hour there at the moment. Has offered you, if you're watching this pair earlier, a nice fairway at the central pivot point. Okay. Over the next 24 hours, you know, if we are going to move down nicely, you'd expect each day to potentially put its top in at the central pivot point. So today we've done that. Wherever the central pivot point is tomorrow, I don't know where price will move down to today, but then it'll have some kind of intraday rally. Maybe, but just back to the central pivot point, it could maybe have a rally back up to the figure now. So at the moment, for a continued move down, I'll be watching the figure, see how it will support through here. Now that we've moved below it, watch the figure now to be resistance to move down in line with that double top, in line with the head and shoulder pattern. All right. So that's the way you could be looking to get in within that bigger structure of the head and shoulder pattern and the minor double top pattern. All right. Go back to that daily. Just get those little lines off. So there's a potential here for quite a large move. You know, maybe we're going to move back down to the longer term level of support down here. So we've got quite a large pattern forming there. Potential for a large reversal to the downside side. Now, just to rally back up to 130, you could be putting your stop above the high here. You know, you could be selling at 130, risking 100 pips, stop at 131. That would get you stop above this high up here. This high up here is at 130.76 area. So there's a bit of wiggle room there. Price could come up for a retest and still not stop you out. All right, so that's how I'd be looking at getting in if you want to get in. I rally back up to the figure. Does it hold and fail there for a sell, for a move down? All right, last pair that I'm going to, oh, two more pairs. Dollar yen and the gold will go through. Dollar yen, still in its uptrend. Very uptrendish on the weekly. The MACD slow crossed down. It is very bullish on the monthly. That looks very bullish on the monthly, like the other yen crosses. All right. You'd be brave to short that at the moment. I mean, it could fail at this top up here, 139.38. Just want to go on the monthly chart and refresh my memory. Next major monthly top, well, monthly next major resistance level anyway is at 141.53. This resistance up here is just a weekly top. There's a major top all the way up here at 147.68. So this is a bit of a minor area, but it is monthly resistance. There's a major area at 147.68, which is a long way away yet. That's a good 800 pips or 900, just over 900 pips away. All right, but we could definitely be heading towards there. So monthly and weekly trends are up. Now, I know I've been talking about US dollar weakness coming in. Because of the carry of the interest rate on the US side and no interest rate on the Japanese yen side here, even if we get a bit of a US dollar sell-off, now this may just move into consolidation rather than be a major sell-off on the dollar yen. So I think overall we're going to be, generally speaking, moving up. It's just not in the best place to be a buyer at the moment. If you go back in time for the month, we've had a 62% pullback on that weekly range. Found support where we put in this month's low. Obviously we're at the top of the month, and we're challenging weekly resistance. So it's not the best place to be, a buyer at. We're very high up on the move at the moment. But it might only have a minor pullback just to this top here, 137.70. In any event, if you're along this pair or you're looking to get long, if you're long the pair, you want 137.70 for our chart. Now, because we moved above it, to hold for a continued move up. MACD is looking like it's slight divergence there, slight crossing off, going down, almost crossing. We might be having some form of pullback, but if you are long, you want 137.70 to hold as support. And if you're looking to get long, then that might offer you the level to hold to trade up from. All right. Being aware that we're getting very close to weekly resistance up here. So you're going to start to get into some sellers up there. So you don't want to be buying too close to that area of resistance, okay? But long term, this is still in an uptrend. It's just a matter of finding a good place to get in if you want to get in. So I pull back to 137.70. If that level could hold, that would be an ideal level to watch. All right. Just monitoring my chat. All right, Annie, you give me an update. So you're looking to get in at 117.46 on that failure. If it fails at 17.60. Cameron, you're saying you're not in the dollar Canadian, you think it might go up to the figure and then enter. Okay. All right, let's just have a look at gold before we finish for tonight. All right, so the question is on gold. We do have a lower top, lower bottom affair, downtrend going on the weekly there. On the other side of the coin, some of these pairs at the moment or instruments, a little bit mixed. Are we getting a reversal? It's always difficult when you're in an area where, are we reversing or are we continuing with the trends? We've come down and challenged this major area of support. Is this changing the trend to move back up the range? Or are we simply putting a lower top to move down for a retest? This can, this is where things can get difficult when things aren't as clear. And if things aren't clear, you don't have to trade. You can wait until it's real clear. Earlier in the month, things were really, really clear when we had a rally on the weekly chart, and then it topped out to move down. At the moment, things are a little bit less clear. So what I have noticed is to the downside, we've had a 62% retracement. Are we moving down now, long-term to move through support? Or is support holding to change trend? Because what I've also noticed on this pullback that we're having at the moment, well, if this is a pullback rather than a trend move further down, from that support up to that high, we're at a 62% level. Are we pulling back to find support at the fib to move up the range? So to the daily, we did reject yesterday at the 62 and that low of last week. So are we finding some support there to move up? If we're going to be moving up, there's Daily resistance here at 1754 that the market would need to break above, and ultimately weekly resistance at 1786. So there's a couple of ways things could translate on gold there. At the moment, the weekly trend is down and the day trend is down. The question is, has the trend changed at this major area of support? At the moment, to try to keep things simple, the weekly trend is down and the day trend is down. So that in general terms would be the bias for another move down to test support. All right, but yesterday's candle just, is a bit positive there. And when you do a bit of fib work, we are at a 62% area. So, if you were, I'm not in this pair, so I've got no emotional attachment. So it doesn't matter to me. Doesn't matter to me when it goes up or down. I just know that we've held at major support. So if you've held at major support, are we starting to get a turnaround to the upside? That's the thing you need to consider if you're short that pair, all right, or instrument. Pedro, you're asking me what is my take on the NASDAQ and the US 30. So a quick look at the day charts and the weekly charts. Head of the NFP. Well, I see the weekly chart this is the same story for all the indices at the moment in the US. The monthly trends are down, but then the weekly trend is up. Is this NASDAQ? Sorry, is this Dow Jones, 30, getting support here at weekly support to continue and put in another higher bottom to move up? If we start to, if we close above this level today, this weekly level of support, I suspect we're moving back up. That's the critical level. If we're closing above 32,214, the buyers are in control. If we're closing below, the sellers are in control. All right. NASDAQ, I'm pretty sure it's going to say the same thing. Your monthly trend is down. We're back below this weekly level, but the weekly trend is up. So we have a bit of a mix at the moment in terms of those high time frames. And the daily is down. This is looking a bit more negative in terms of where the major levels of support or resistance are. We've moved back below this level. So on this, if we were to rally, at the moment, this is in a downtrend on the day. So a rally, could just come back to that level of support. To get bullish on this, it would need to get back above that level at 12,945. So I'm seeing a bit more bearishness on the NASDAQ to what I'm seeing on the US 30 and the S&P 500. And somebody's telling me the MACD is crossed down too. Yeah, I don't have the MACD on there, but I can put it on. So, some of the, it's not always easy to have 100% foolproof trend following approach when your monthly trend is one way and the weekly trend is the other way. What we're going to need to consider is, let's just go to the monthly charts on these. We're obviously having a negative month. If we break the low of the month, when we move into the new month, if you break the low of the month, that's negative. Okay, that's just going to be starting to confirm another lower top on the monthly. So that's negative. Now, if we don't break the low of last month, once we're into September, we could still be moving up with those weekly uptrends because we could be putting in another month up. If the weekly trend remains up, we're probably going to be putting in another month up. So the thing to consider is over the next few days is, do we start to break the low of August? If we do, that's obviously more to the downside quite clearly because we're going to be putting in a lower top here on the NASDAQ. we'd be putting in a lower top here on the Dow and on the S&P 500. We'd be putting in another lower top on the monthly there. So that would be negative. All right. And that would then start to maybe get the weekly trends to be looking more to turning down. So it's a little bit difficult because we've been having S&P 500 2 months up. That's turned the weekly up. Dow 2 months up. That's turned the weekly up. And same deal on NASDAQ. 2 months up's turned the weekly up. But if we break August low, as we move into September, that, I will use that as my bias to say, okay, we're putting in another lower top on the monthly. All right. So I don't know whether that helped. Things are just a little bit mixed in terms of what we're seeing. Of course, as we move into the new month, though, if we just keep trade down for the first week of the month, we'll be putting in a lower top on the monthlies. So then it'll start to get a lot clearer about what the dollar what the indices are doing. We start to see that on the indices, then I'm sure the dollar index will probably start to move up as well. And this little failure that we may be seeing on the dollar index up here, this could just be a little bit of, on the currencies, people squaring positions off for the end of the month. That might be what we're seeing there, a bit of weakness on the dollar, a bit of squaring off. But if we do break below this low, 107.51, that is going to see pairs to the US dollar move up. And for sure, that dollar Canadian does look rather negative. So there's a few pairs definitely starting to maybe show that the US dollar is turning to the downside for the short term. The monthly chart, though, not sure if we had a month. Did we have a month down this month? We just had a month down, and we've had a month down and a month up, but it has had no significant retracement, has it? For many, many months. We haven't had a good month down below a low, or 2 months down, anything of that nature at the moment on the dollar index. So it can't keep going up forever, even if fundamentally you might say, or interest rate speculation is all about the US dollar moving up. In general terms, is 1 month down or 2 months down doesn't change the overall trend. Nothing goes up forever before having some form of a pullback. Doesn't mean to say the whole world's changing. It just means it needs a corrective period. Okay. All right, everybody, any final questions? I just want to click through, see what's been going on since we've been talking. Aussie Yen still wanting to move up. Aussie dollar is just stalling there a little bit, but it hasn't met the 79% level yet. Euro Yen is just continuing trying to test yesterday's high. Euro dollar still kind of moving up in general terms. All right, so the pound dollar has, of course, held at 17.60 today at the moment. So for those going short, good luck. Cameron asked me, does the NAS tend to go opposite to the DXY? In general terms, if we're seeing strong US dollar strength, stock markets tend to go the opposite way. Same deal. Warren, if you want to the recording, you just need to go to our YouTube channel to review. If you go, it's been streamed at the moment, but over the next hour or two, you'll see it on our YouTube channel, which is, I'll just bring up a PowerPoint. Our YouTube channel is here, so the recording will be there in a few hours. There we go. Just want to make sure I've not missed anything. It's live, you're saying Fed might be strengthening dollar before the 8th of November midterms, maybe. All right, Warren, thanks. All right, everybody, just give you an update before I leave you. Tomorrow's webinar, 7 p.m. I'll bring up the webinar page. A new webinar that I haven't done before will be on range trading using Fibonacci. So over the last 4 weeks, which includes this week, I've been going over 4 specific patterns so that you've got countless opportunities to trade within the market structure of the market. So tomorrow we're going to go through looking at range trading using Fibonacci. And what I'm going to be doing, the 4 patterns that I've been discussing, so range trading, double tops, double bottoms, head and shoulders, and the 79% fib. What I'm going to do once a month, at the start of the month, I'm going to review what occurred last month, so we can look at what patterns did occur, how you could have traded them. And if you missed those, you can obviously look at them in hindsight, and hopefully next time they set up, you don't miss them and you can take the opportunity. All right, so that's what's coming out tomorrow. And then Thursday, more live market analysis. Slav, you're asking me, what are my thoughts on the Aussie new home approval numbers today? Significantly down. Will it affect the Aussie? Well, I don't know, Slav, to be perfectly honest. I didn't even take any notice of the home approvals, to be perfectly honest. I think Aussie is starting to appreciate a little bit. We're going to be continuing raising interest rates by 50 base points. So there's going to be a question of obviously the US are raising their interest rates. We're raising our interest rates. The US are going into a kind of a recession. If we keep raising our interest rates, how's that going to affect our economy? I know home approvals are down, but the question in my mind is how, if the recession gets bad in the US, do they start to taper off their interest rate rising? And are we still, raising our interest rates? So we actually get higher than the US. So at the moment, you could say, if you look at the Aussie dollar chart, both sides are raising their interest rates and forecasting further rates rises to the day chart. Now, this is rather consolidatory at the moment because one side of the market's wanting to trade it down, one side of the market's wanting to trade it up, and you've got this seesaw effect of fundamental news coming out. It was negative on Friday, but then Monday, Tuesday, now we're swinging back up. We may well stay rather range bound, for a period, maybe, who knows? Or like I was suggesting, maybe we're going to start to be putting in this higher bottom maybe on the weekly chart. Go to the weekly chart here. Are we going to be putting in a higher bottom here to move up? The weekly MACD's crossed up. So I know some news has come out today that you're saying it's bad, so you think that's going to be negative for the Aussie dollar. But often negative news doesn't mean a thing to the Aussie dollar. It just wants to go up. All right. So I think if we start to see continual bad news from China, then we might see more downside on the Aussie dollar. But at the moment, to me, the Aussie dollar seems a little bit buoyant. It's getting support at 69 or below. All right. I think it's wanting to move up a little bit at the moment. All right. But we shall see. Warren, you're saying, is there a fib in the indicators? Well, if you've got the MT4 platform, there's the fib tool up here. If you get my chart layouts, I've got it pre-configured to how I use it and how I'll be using it tomorrow night. So if you contact Nathan, he can set you up with that. If you weren't here when I put his details in the chat, I'll just put his details back in the chat right now. There we go. That's back in the chat. All right, everybody. Anything final you want to ask me? Slav, you asking me, do I use MT5? No, I don't. But it's very similar to MT4 in terms of how to use it. But no, I don't. I got no reasons for not using it. I've been using MT4 for all my life. So I'm just using MT4. All my indicators and my chart layouts are in MT4. So I just use MT4. Those are my reasons. All right. Thanks, Lav. All right, everybody. Thanks very much for attending this evening. For those that are new, I saw a few new names in there. Thanks very much for attending. More than welcome to attend again. Education webinar tomorrow on how to trade the range. So that's at 7 p.m. Just go to the website and register your interest. Pedro, thank you. Thanks, everybody. If you're on our YouTube live stream, I couldn't talk to you, but thanks very much for attending. You're more than welcome to attend our webinars too. Just register at the link that I gave you in the chat. Other than that, everybody have a great evening. Happy trading. For those that have been looking short in the pound, it is moving down. So hopefully you're going to have a profitable evening. And for those that are watching the dollar Canadian, I might actually have a look at that later on in the evening to maybe trade to the short side as well. All right, everybody, stay safe, trade safely. I look forward to seeing you next time. Thank you.